Thank you for joining us today on the Sisterhood Leadership Podcast with Dianne Wilson, recorded live from Orange County, California. If you'd like to subscribe, click on the link below.
Hi, I'm Dianne Wilson. Welcome to our brand new Sisterhood Leadership Podcast. We've been meeting as a sisterhood for over 10 years, and recently we were talking amongst ourselves as leaders on what we could do in this very different season and very different era in the life of our church. 10 years ago, most of the women in our sisterhood were either not married yet, no kids, or they had grown kids and time. So we were able to meet every Friday morning. Well, recently I was looking at how many people were able to come on a Friday morning and how many weren't. And it just seemed like crazy for us to not make some changes so that we could reach more women and help more women develop in their leadership. So we're excited about this new leadership podcast, including different leaders every single week. We're having a conversation. There's going to be questions asked and answered. And my heart is to make everything practical, because leadership has got to apply to our real life, not just in theory. And so thanks for joining us. And we really hope that you enjoy this month as we focus on, of course, our Bible, which we love. We call it the Bible Book Club. And Bible in a year is amazing. This is my 17th year around the block. And of course, this month we're focusing on one of my resources, It's Time, and this is a leadership book. So thanks again for being with us and hope you enjoy. Welcome to our Sisterhood Leadership Podcast. I am really thrilled today to have a special friend. Our guest today is Professor Kelly Galindo. And I was just thinking about how rich my life is with new friends and being able to introduce friends that I know to other people. And I was just reflecting on how we even met. And it was at Imagine conference last year. You came for the first time because one of the judges, or the presiding juvenile justice, that's Judge Maria Hernandez, amazing woman, had said to me, you need to meet Kelly. And I said, anyone that you think I should meet, I will meet. And we reached out. And since then, I was just thinking about how many different people we've introduced each other to, and all to be very territorial for Jesus. Because there's a lot of work to do. So just, if you could just tell us what you're a professor of and where you actually work before we get on to what your passions are.
Okay. I teach at Chapman University in Dodge College Film and Media Arts. I teach directing, specifically directing the actor. My background is I was an actress for years, and it's probably why, which we'll get to in a moment, why I'm passionate about what I am in the film that I'm directing right now. But yes, I've been at Chapman for 14 years. I love it. I love encouraging and instilling and helping young people's dreams become a reality. And Chapman, I'm proud of being a part of the Chapman family. Their equipment is incredible, so they're getting a great education to actually have the crafts and the skills to go out. But as a professor, you're much more really just investing in their dream to keep moving forward. So that's what I do at Chapman.
That's so wonderful. I feel like, obviously I'm not a professor, I'm a pastor, but similarly, my dream is when I see other people who I'm pastoring and discipling, actually, when they're living their dream. There's nothing more rewarding.
Yeah.
So we actually met around a common theme, which was why our connection originally was Judge Hernandez. So we're, as a sisterhood, and our Imagine Foundation are very invested and involved with our local government here in Orange County, Children and Family Services, and in the teen court process, where the most traumatised teens will be aging out of the system because they've not been able to be adopted. They've got too many things going on, and we're talking about a lot of things going on. And so just tell us a little bit, because that's my passion, of course, and why as a church we're very committed to community outreach. But here I am local doing what I'm doing, where I'm actually in there, I'm in the trenches out, and I take girls into the trenches with me and say, these are real people who need prescriptive care from faith partners like us. Let's just do it. And so just talk to us about this amazing project, because you're your passion and commitment is going to make a very, very, very big difference globally.
Hopefully.
Of course it will.
I say that just because it's I started, as we all do, just taking one step, saying yes to Jesus, right? And it's just become 1,000 steps since then. And it's such a big project that I in the very beginning, I made a deal with God. I said, this is your project. And I'm just going to, use my creativity, use my resources, use my connections, but I'm going to carry this project for you. So without God, because as you know, anytime you have a project of this magnitude, I mean, of course God has to carry it. I could not carry it alone. It's a lot emotionally and just the work put into it. But yeah. So in those days that are hard, definitely it's God and His. What breaks God's heart is what's important to me.
What is the name of the project?
26 Seconds. I'm directing a documentary on global sex trafficking and highlighting all of the nonprofit Christian organizations that are doing work either in prevention, rescue, restoration, or reintegration. So your
A mixture of all.
your Imagine Foundation is one of the organizations, which is restoration and reintegration. Yeah,
Which
and
is prevention
important.
with our resource and some
Yes.
of the programs, because
Yeah.
obviously these kids are school kids. So
That's right.
schools are very, very important as well. So we are also we're going to include the link somewhere, so you can find the trailer to the documentary and make sure that you subscribe for when the release is, because we are very interested in making sure. What I love too is that the film is not about one organisation, because there's no, as far as I know, not one organisation that can solve this problem. We all need to work together.
It's going to take
Yes.
not only a village but an army.
Yeah. So for us to be part of that is a privilege, but we cheer you on. And having just recently, met with our local deputy here about, let's rescue the kids, let's have a PR campaign, but then what we do with them, that process afterwards is really important, because it is way harder than it might seem. And some of these kids are not even ready for a new start. It's like they're addicted to the pain life because it's better. It's like the better the devil they know. And so for us to even introduce some kind of normal can be a challenge. But I'm really grateful that you're bringing that awareness, and that every single person can make a difference.
Yeah, because it's not just about creating awareness; it's a call to action.
Yes.
In fact, the mode of marketing, who's going to be marketing 26 Seconds, he said I need to pick 3. Maybe that's a formula for marketing, but I'm finding this really difficult because he's saying pick 3 things that matter.
Wow.
And I can't pick. I mean, prevention matters, rescue matters, restoration matters, reintegration matters, and prosecution matters. So I'm like, I can't pick 3. I just can't.
What was number 3? What did you just say was 3?
Prevention, rescue, restoration.
Well, maybe that's the description of the last 3 things you said. Maybe anyway.
Because then it goes reintegration, which is important, and so is
true.
prosecution.
That's true.
The laws have to be changed.
It's true. They do.
It has to be.
Full restoration is all of those things actually happen, and these kids are going to be incredible. If that process takes place properly, these are going to be the best captains in God's army. Like, they're going to be generals.
Yeah.
Because they've got some payback to the enemy. And I know, because the few teens that we work with personally here at Newport Church that have been part of our church community, without exception, they all want to go back and help other kids.
Yeah.
Obviously, they're still kids themselves, but the wonderful thing is they know that process is available, and that they can have a really amazing future.
And it's so important. I mean, even me becoming a professor and a director is really it's like this. You first have to do. I worked as an actress and then a director, and then it's just the natural order to then give back. And it's the same with these girls that have been victims and survivors. It's that. I mean, once they've gone through the process and gotten to the other side, it's only natural to give back.
Totally, and we're really excited
Yeah.
about that because we're in the middle of their lives right now, helping coach them through working alongside social services, amazing team, and just knowing full well that they're going to be some of your best future advocates for any more.
Yeah.
I mean, if you make another life, you never know. Like when you're obedient to God, it opens up several doors. Let me just ask you.
Yeah.
So you're an amazing woman. Like you're beautiful.
She's
But
sweet.
you're beautiful and you're strong, but you're also very feminine. And here you are, you're a professor in Orange County. How is that being like a woman in a leadership role? Or what have you found to be a little bit more challenging, maybe in a bygone era? And what's it like now?
Well, I think that I was, because of me being an actress, I was in a man's world. So I think I was used to that because becoming a professor, I wasn't even thinking about if it was going to be women or men professors or, I was just wanting to give back everything I've learned and then invest that into the young people. But when I got there, especially 14 years ago, it's very much a boys' club. There's very few women professors, especially in film school. Not only professors and deans and chairs, etc., but the students. When I first started teaching at Dodge, I thought I was teaching at all boys' school. I literally had, if I had 20 students, 18 were boys and 2 were girls.
Wow.
I mean, I literally, for years, like 7, 8 years.
Why do you think that was?
Because the industry was more geared towards men. It's changed though. Now here I've been 14 years at Chapman and I'm so happy to see that change, but now it's half and half. But it wasn't like that for a long time. I literally thought I was teaching at an all-boys school. So I'm so happy to see that change is happening, and there's girls are feeling more comfortable into walking into that space of the entertainment industry. I'm also, I'm a little protected at Chapman, because Chapman's in Orange County and Orange City, and Hollywood's, in LA. But I do think that the industry's changing since when I was a young person. And I think that God is infiltrating through people.
Wonderful. That's really cool.
Yeah.
So sometimes you're around, other times you're traveling the world.
Yes.
And I just want to talk about the glamour of travel for a second.
So glamorous.
So glamorous. And I mean, to be honest, when sometimes, I've heard your schedule and I'm like, I don't even know how you do it. And with such energy as well. And I'm sure there's some times where you just don't actually feel like doing it. But to remain obedient to what God's called you to do, it's been such a lot of work. And obviously this has not been, a luxury cruise. You've gone and seen such hardship, such trauma, such pain and such shame. How do you personally process how it affects you as a person?
I have to say, traveling, getting on a plane and traveling is what we were just talking about, having adrenaline rush. For me, it's not like, oh, this is going to be tiring. I'm excited to go on the next journey and meet the next people. So that's not what's tiring. Sitting in the editing room 10 to 12 hours a day, that's challenging and tiring for me. But traveling's not. And it's actually, I was telling some girlfriends of mine, it's like in my earlier life, I've had, of course, the big spas and the beautiful trips and cruises, this and that. And they always felt empty, coming back. And I was sharing with some girlfriends, and I've never felt more satisfied because I've been to every red light district in the world. I shot in Cambodia, Thailand, Iraq, India, Mexico, and I'll be shooting in Africa this summer. And then here in the U.S. But of course, I'm not going to beautiful places. I'm going to the red light districts. I'm going to the slum villages. And I was sharing with my girlfriends that I never felt more alive in my life than in those moments. Emotionally, it's, of course, when you see heartbreak. It's heartbreaking in the moment, but there's also joy in these girls that are they're survivors. They've been rescued. There's joy in seeing these organizations that are restoring. I also, just going back to how we started the conversation, is I tell God every day, thank you so much for the gift that I didn't even anticipate, which was all the incredible people I'm meeting, all of the founders of the organizations that I'm meeting.
I remember too that Pastor Bijou Thamp, he just happened to be in town.
I know.
and amazing because to introduce the two of you, because he's on the ground. I've been there. I've been to those slums where Slumdog Millionaire, and it's like the difference is this, because I like to go on vacation, yes, but I when you're on mission, it refreshes all of you, and knowing full well that that you have the privilege of actually being there in order to make a difference. Because here's the thing, folks, sisterhood leaders, painful seasons are going to come in our life, and they're going to probably cause us to sometimes want to isolate from people and maybe step back from purpose because we're dealing with our own stuff. But I just want to say this, and I found it to be really true, that the antidote for pain is not escapism. It's actually purpose.
Yeah.
And so maybe if there's something that you're struggling with right now and you realize, and I'm not doing anything with my life, do something with your life. And we can definitely help you with that. Just contact us. There's always more things to do than there are hands and feet. Jesus said the harvesters are few. So how would you call women to action?
I say whatever you're passionate about, or if you hear God, just say yes. Take a step out in faith. I started my journey I said yes to going on a trip with Destiny Rescue, and I have the resources to take cameras because I'm a professor at a film school, so I took them. And it just kept growing. God kept he'd open a door. I am not, he's opened incredible doors. It is not of me. He's opening them because if we say yes to God and he can trust us, he keeps opening the door. And if I choose to say no, he says, okay. And he gives it to someone else because he has a job to do. And he really doesn't care who does it. He'd love to bless you because it is us that we are blessed through giving. I know that sounds cliche.
And here's the thing too. So, to say yes, you win. To say no, somebody else wins. So God always wins.
Yes.
But here's the thing. You come from a very ambitious background in Hollywood, obviously, where there's a lot of competition and a lot of ambition. And just to watch, I've got to say there is a great grace on your life. There's a great grace on your life. And to see how much peace you must have for not having to work it and network and honestly, just thinking about all the different people we've introduced each other to just organically, and how there's no pressure, because it's actually it's generosity. It's a spirit of generosity, which says if you know somebody that can help, then let's just all get together and make this work. So I do love that. Even though I know you're like a boss lady, you're so you're actually really lovely, and you've got a very peaceful air and grace about you, which I think is important, because when it comes to such a difficult subject, people don't need a harsh voice, and they don't need to become angry in the right sense of action. Let anger lead to action and not just opinion, but that you're a real ambassador, and it's a privilege meeting you, and we want you definitely to come back. I'd love to have you in a forum where I've got a group of our leaders with a question prepared. Just to draw some more gold out of you, because we're still getting to know you, but we're here, we're a partner with you, we believe in you, we're going to be praying for your project. And again, 26 seconds. I think you can go on YouTube and look it up. But
it's 26 seconds with an S, and then DOC for documentaries, 26secondsdoc.com.
Beautiful. All right. Well, thanks for being with us. And we'd love to have you back again.
Thank you so much.
We'll see you next week, folks.
Thank you for joining us today on the Sisterhood Leadership Podcast with Dianne Wilson, recorded live from Orange County, California. If you'd like to subscribe, click on the link below, diannewilson.com, and we'll see you next week.